The Proud Family Louder and Prouder just dropped episode 4 on Disney Plus. This may be the most important episode of the series, and I say that because, wow, this episode had a lot in it. So this episode is the gay dad episode that basically before this show was even announced and they were just showing off new characters. We knew these characters were coming in to the show, but we really didn't know how they were going to handle it. And I wasn't really worried. I didn't really care either way. It was like, whatever. But the way they handled it is great. This is a really great episode. The best episode of the show so far. I don't want to say the best of the show in its entirety because obviously it's still airing, but it's a really solid episode. In this episode, La Ciencia, or sorry, I forget. No, I'm not saying her name right. But you know, they're at her house and they get invited to a concert. They go to this concert and realize that their neighbors that were, you know, the two new characters that were introduced in the first episode were they're actually they have two dads who are gay, and one of them posts that on Dejanay posts that on social media, and it starts spreading around. Bullying and harassment happens. And what I like about this moment is, first of all, this is a moment for those neighbor characters. A lot of people have complained that they're one-dimensional characters, and this episode adds depth to why they act the way they do. First of all, we learn in this episode they're adopted, and not only that, they have two gay dads. So it adds more depth to why they act the way they do in this show, and maybe opens the door for them to possibly be friends. And I like that angle in that show. Also, I liked when before she posted on social media, they state the line, it's 2021, or I forget what year they state, but basically, you know, they're talking basically this modern year, nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. But people do care. It's still, you know, and so the harassment and bully happens at school. I like that all the parent. I like that once Penny and her friends realize this is going on at school, you know, Penny goes, "I can't believe what's wrong with people. They're bullying someone over having two dads. What's wrong with it?" And then she's like, and her friends are like, "It's weird." And she's like, "Well, who said that?" "Oh, our parents." Which is basically an example of showing that, you know, homophobia and that type of thing is not something necessarily, you're not born with it. It's inherited. It's taught. You know, it's taught. You're not. It's not inherited. It's taught. And so, you know, Penny having better parents, you know, grows past that, of course. But Oscar, of course, is not happy about this. And Oscar has to learn to grow and accept it. And everyone in this episode needs to just learn to grow and accept it, because at the end of the day, these are nice people. They're friendly. They're shaking hands with people as they meet them. They're, you know, cracking jokes. You know, they're not. There's nothing wrong with these people. They're just people in this episode, and that's what I really liked about it. They could have made it where they're not characters, but they are characters in the show, right? Because these could have just been basically blank slates that are here to show you the message of this episode, which is a solid message. I don't get me wrong, but I like that these characters are actually characters in this show, and now I want to see these characters more. It's also just a really good episode in the sense that, you know, normal shows would just be like the parents are completely wrong, but no, Oscar did teach his daughter somewhat the right way, but it's just that, you know, he has flaws that he needed to improve upon, which is what you want to do with your kids. Is like you want to teach them things that, you know, you basically want them to raise them to be better than you were when you were that age, you know, and that type of thing. And and I think that is what this episode successfully showed off. You know, it doesn't just victimize parents and things like that. And I really like that angle of it. It's just a really solid episode. I also like that it's just not the message episode. Um, it's the episode where, yeah, there is this message about, you know, calming down about homophobia and prejudice, things like that. But it's also like, um, it is funny. Like, there's still humor in this episode. The characters are all still characters. None of them act out of character to deliver this message. It is a really just solid episode of this show that I think is going to help a lot of people. And I think that's really cool.